Good morning, Internet dwellers. Today's video is inspired by my daughter. I am trying to teach her Python, and we signed her up for a Skype class through the school to teach her Python. She started in on the classes, and she hated it. And I wanted to know why she hated it. And it turns out the reason she hated it is because the class was complete crap. Okay, it was worthless. So I decided, you know what, I can do a lot better than that. And so that's what we're going to do today. This video is for my daughter, but I'm going to go make it public because maybe it could help some other people. Therefore, everyone listening to this video will now be referred to as Morgan. Now, there are three types of machines, main machines that you use to run Python on. There's the blue-collar system for blue-collar people like me, Microsoft. And that's why we're using something, Microsoft Vision or whatever. Anyway, it's their programming interface, whatever you want to call it. Now, there are different ones for like Mac users, for those frickin' hippies out there that use Macs. They got their own little thing. And for those special relatives, we all have one. There's Unix. Yes, if you're a little odd, you're probably on a user box, Unix box. But for these videos, because there's going to be a whole bunch of them, we're going to be using the Visual Studio. Okay? Now, the first thing we need to do when you want to learn something is don't go out and buy a $50 frickin' learn something in 30 days book. You find the online frickin' manual for it, and you freaking read that. It's for free and it's more accurate. Now, what I do, and Morgan, you should always do this in the future, is find what you want to read online, copy and paste it into a Word document, fiddle around with it a little bit to make sure that it's readable, and then you want to read it. And the best way to read it is to make the machine read it aloud and then follow along. And don't worry about comprehending anything, because what's going to happen is you're not going to need this information until you start having a problem when you program. You find the problem in programming, and then you find where in the documentation it addresses that, and you're going to know that because we're going to do this read-through. So you might not comprehend it, but you'll know where it is. And then when you read the manual, the data will stick like glue because you need it to solve your problem. And you'll find out real quick what parts of the manual are important and which parts aren't. Okay? So with that said, let's start reading. Where's the button? Time to go to work.
3.1.1 Numbers. The interpreter acts as a simple calculator. You can type an expression at it and it will write the value. Expression syntax is straightforward. The operators plus, dash, asterisk, and slash work just like in most other languages. For example, Pascal or C, parentheses, can be used for grouping. For example, print 2 plus 2. 4. Print 55 by 6. 20. Print 55 by 6, /4. 5.0. Print 8/5. Hashtag division always returns a floating point number. 1.6. The integer numbers, e.g. 2, 4, 20, have type int. The ones with a fractional part, e.g. 5.0, 1.6, have type float. We will see more about numeric types later in the tutorial. Division, / always returns a float. To do floor division and get an integer result, discarding any fractional result, you can use the / operator. To calculate the remainder, you can use %. Print, 17/3, #classic division returns a float. 5.66666666666666667. Print, 17 / 3, #floor division discards the fractional part. 5. Print, 17%3, #the % operator returns the remainder of the division. 2. Print, 5/3 plus 2, #result * divisor, plus remainder. 17. With Python, it is possible to use the operator to calculate powers. 1. Print, 5/2, number 5 squared. 25. Print, 2/7, number 2 to the power of 7. 128. The equal sign is used to assign a value to a variable. Afterwards, no result is displayed before the next interactive prompt. Width = 20. Height = 5 * 9. Print, width * height. 900. If a variable is not defined, assigned a value, trying to use it will give you an error. Print, n, #try to access an undefined variable. Traceback, most recent call last. File, stin, line 1, in module. Name error, name n is not defined. There is full support for floating point operators with mixed type operands, convert the integer operand to floating point. Print, 4/3.75, 1. 14.0. In interactive mode, the last printed expression is assigned to the variable _. This means that when you are using Python as a desk calculator, it is somewhat easier to continue calculations. For example, tax equals 12.5/100. Price equals 100.50. Print, price * tax. 12.5625. This variable should be treated as read-only by the user. Don't explicitly assign a value to it. You would create an independent local variable with the same name masking the built-in variable with its magic behavior. In addition to int and float, Python supports other types of numbers, such as decimal and fraction. Python also has built-in support for complex numbers, and uses the j or j suffix to indicate the imaginary.
All right, wake up, people. I know. It's boring. Get used to it. It's called work for a reason. All right, now let's go back to the code I prepared for you, and now we can address the point of this video, which is to teach you, give you an idea for data types. Okay, now there's a ton of data types out there, but we're only going to talk about the data types as we progress in the training. I don't want to sit there and explain 30 different data types to you and overwhelm you with it in the beginning, like a lot of instructors do. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a handful at a time, and I'm going to also introduce other things that you need to know that I think when you combine the two, it makes learning a little bit easier. Okay, so we went over mathematics, okay, like the plus, the minus, the times, and the divide, and the crap that you'll hardly ever need. And those things can be all combined in a whole bunch of different ways that is going to be very entertaining for you in the future. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I've prepared this little program, okay, that populates the two data types I want to introduce you to. That's the integer and the floating point. Okay, and the beautiful thing about Python is you don't have to tell it what the data type is. It knows it by what the data is you're trying to put into it. Okay, so in the init, if you're just using whole numbers, it's going to know, okay, this is an integer. If you either try and assign a positive or negative sign to it, or you give it a decimal point, it's going to go like, I need to use the floating point. Okay, now we're going to run this program, okay, that goes through all this stuff, and then we're going to look at the output and talk about it. Here we go. All right, let's make this big screen. So what I wanted to show you is what the data looks like that's stored in these data types and how it looks. Okay, so I'm an idiot. This is my first time doing this, so you'll have to excuse me. But so this is what didn't show up in the video. Here's the results. You can see for the integer, you get the 4. You see the positive thing. See what happens when you add 2 negatives. See what happens with the mixed. And then we go through the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, stuff you're not going to need. The only thing I want to point out is that when we divided the integers, it somehow magically became a floating point. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, and I'm going to go ahead and insert this into the video. And that's it for this lesson in the class. And keep rewatching the video. That's kind of like what I'm doing here is I'm creating little spots in the video where you can pause the video to look at the code if you want to try and recreate it. And I like putting comments in the code. Apparently that's very popular with programmers. So popular that if you don't put comments in your code, they'll say rude things about you behind your back and no one will want to work with you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back, or I'm thinking about maybe doing something about the print function, which is like very important. It's one of the most heavily used functions